I'm back.
Football season is almost here, thank goodness. This point of the year, it's like, what is there to watch? Hockey's over. I'm not a baseball person, unfortunately, but man, it's at this point of the cycle, it's like, you know what I mean? But now I can feel it in my bones, it's in my spine, it's like tingling in my hands. The spidey sense for football season, just a few weeks from, a week away from training camps, a lot of training camps, so let's freaking go. I'm gonna be doing my 32 through number 1 rankings. When you're like, the Tennessee Titans at number 32, are you crazy?
What is he, nuts?
I know it's going to be a little controversial, but I can't wait for you to see who number 1, number 2, my Super Bowl matchup this year. I guarantee you, the person that I have in my Super Bowl, you will not see in the majority of Super Bowl. I don't know, we'll see, but I really like there's one football team that I think is super underrated right now. I'm not giving any spoilers away at all. You're just going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait and see. As painful, I know, I'm probably like, oh, who's going to be? But we got the Tennessee Titans today, man. We're going to go through this roster and keep it brief. Like, I'm not going to, like, TFG this thing. He's in his own category, his own league of things like that. Broshmo and all those guys. I'm going to do this a layman, like kindergarten. This is like the kindergarten TFG. Like, that's what I am, you know what I'm saying? But, man, we're going to dive into this thing. We're going to start off with the offense and the offensive line, specifically Bill Callahan and this offensive line. Got to be better this year. And I do expect in his second year as the offensive the offensive line coach, to things for him to get better. And you bring in some guys like Kevin Zeiler and Dan Moore. I think both of those dudes, especially Zeiler and that veteran presence, that was one of my favorite signings in general for this football team. Probably was my favorite signing that they were able to acquire on a 1-year deal, to bring in that veteran presence who's still playing at a super high level at that right guards position. You got really 2 good guards. I rank them number 8 in the NFL, and that might even be a little bit low, to be real with you. Peter Skoronski looked very, very good last season. He could take another step ascension towards that elite tier. So Zeitler, Skoronski, backup-wise, I think you got a couple of guys. Olioto can play at tackle as well, but Blake Henn's going to be competing there. Jackson Slater, the young man from Sacramento State, the athletic guy, has some upside there at center. The big thing here, I rank him at number 17, Lloyd Cushenberry. The Achilles, how does he look? But the timeline could be a little tricky there. We'll see how it all shakes out. He might start off training camp a little, on the sidelines and whatnot. But I think they're in a good position. You got Sam Mustipher, Corey Levin, Brandon Himes. One of those guys, if not a couple of them, certainly can step up there. And Mustipher gives you inside-out versatility. So does Himes, too. Anyway, tackle-wise, I have them ranked at number 22. It just comes down to J.C. Latham going into year number 2. I love J.C. Latham a lot. I think he can be like an all-pro. I really believe that. Latham, super high on Latham. And then you look at Dan Moore Jr. I mean, I didn't love the sign. I thought it was a little expensive, but you got to pay for guys and you got to pay for decent tackles. That's just kind of the way it works. And he has gotten better and better. And he's been reliable too. That's another big thing. You cannot discount that. He has stayed on the football field. I'd rather have a guy that's okay, that plays at a solid level and stays on the football field consistently, than get a guy who's really, really good and only plays 8 games, right? Like, that's the thing. So I think Dan Moore is going to be good in that department. They're going to be competing with John Njoku and Jalen Duncan and Brandon Crenshaw Dickerson. I imagine will end up making the roster, at least on a practice squad. I was not a huge fan of him, but I think he's a guy that has a lot of upside if he can kind of work on his technique. A lot of power there in his frame and mobility with his size for sure. Overall, though, this offensive line definitely should be middle of the line. I think it should be middle of the line, if not maybe even a little bit better with upside. It's a good unit, and Bill Callahan as the offensive line coach definitely helps you out there for sure. Wide receiver-wise, big question. I have him ranked at number 30. Yeah, I don't love the unit. I'll be real. I do not love the unit. Now, I didn't rank him number 32, though. Hey, I got him at number 30, and the reason for that, I like some of these young guys that they got, whether it's Xavier Restrepo, UDFA, or Chamari Dike Ayamener in the 4th round. Both a couple of guys that have some upside for sure. Dike from Florida, and then Ayamener. I like to say his name, Ayamener. As many opportunities as I can, excuses, I will say Ayamener from Stanford. So they've got some young talent in there. Hopefully they can step up this season. Tyler Lockett, they keep talking about him. Is he a lot? They keep saying, oh, he's not going to make the roster. Are you kidding me? How could you let Tyler Lockett? I don't know. That'd be foolish in my opinion, especially for this football team to cut Tyler Lockett. So hopefully he stays on the roster. Calvin Ridley, you got Van Jefferson in there. I do think that one of those rookies will end up beating out Van Jefferson at some point this season. So yeah, there's some room to grow here. There's some young guys at least for Cam Ward. But I do think there'll be some struggles. Like early on, especially, there could be some struggles. Ridley has been a little up and down through his career, but he should still be a solid option for Cam Ward. They need to get that another guy. Who's going to be that guy that steps up beyond that? I think Lockett should help him out. But anyway, tight end wise, Chigakonko, number 23 here. You got Gunnar Helm as going to be the young rookie that comes in here. I think he could be the long-term tight end for them. Remember, Chig's going into a contract year. It's going to be a big thing. Chig, he's got to get better all around with his game, like more consistent as a blocker. He's a good receiving option, but I think that they're looking for somebody that's going to be a little more well-rounded, and I think Helm will provide that. So I fully expect Helm to be the future here at the tight end position. I still like Chigakonko, though. You got Josh Wiley, I think is going to be a really good solid number 2. He's been a solid number 2 tight end already. So those are your kind of your 3 tight ends. It's a good room. Like, it's not bad. This is not going to detriment the football team. They're going to be just fine. And then on to the running back room. Tony Pollard. They should have ran the ball more, I feel like, last season with Tony Pollard. He was really, really good. Tajee Spears. Spears is a really good football player. He just, unfortunately, is injured a lot. Like, that's been his biggest Achilles heel, I feel like, throughout his career. But Spears, that good 1-2 punch with Tony Pollard. Miles Sanders comes in bringing like a veteran presence in here with Julius Chestnut, Khalil Mullins. I will be very curious to see, because maybe Chestnuts ends up maybe missing the roster. Maybe they have Mullins end up making the roster. Remember, he was a 6th-round pick for them. If nothing else, they could also put Mullins on the practice squad if they wanted to do that. They're going to be fighting for roster spots, is my guess, on who's going to be the 4th running back. They'll probably keep 5 at least. So probably both of those guys actually would make the roster. I don't see why they wouldn't keep 5 running backs. So overall, this running back room is not going to be a detriment. They're in a very good spot. At number 21 ranking for me in the NFL, I'm not worried about this running back room. It should definitely help this offense. Do they have like a top tier running back, Detroit Lions sort of 1-2 punch? No, but they're very, very good. And then we go on to the quarterback position. Cameron Ward, first overall pick in the NFL draft. I am very excited to see Cam Ward. Now you're saying, oh, he's only at 69 overall. Like, I try to be conservative with these guys in general. Like, with a lot of these rankings, I try to be conservative, especially if I've never watched them in the NFL yet. If they're rookies, unless I feel very, very confident, which I don't feel like overconfident to like put my stamp on Cam Ward. I still like him, and I certainly think he can be a franchise quarterback. It just, there's going to be some growing pains. Like, let's just be real. I don't know if he's going to hit the ground running like Jaden Daniels and whatnot, but hey, he's got certainly the opportunity. Good football player. Can't wait to see him here in that Titans uniform, rocking and rolling. You got Will Levis as the backup if he keeps on the roster, if they want to keep him or not. We shall see. Brandon Allen, Tim Boyle. On to the defense now, and the defense, we start off with this defensive line. That interior defensive line is looking pretty sexy, man. Jeffrey Simmons, T'Vondre Sweat, man. Woo! It's looking big. It's looking juicy. It's looking, I don't know, that's not even the right word to describe NFL football players, but I will say Jeffrey Simmons, he's supposedly lost like 20 pounds. He's ready. He's like, hey, I'm fueled up. I want to get after the quarter. I want to get sacks this year. I mean, he was fine last year. I didn't see any issues with him, honestly, getting after the quarterback, but he's a superstar. You got T'Vondre Sweat, who could be a superstar in the making as well. He looked really, really good. He might want to lose a little bit of weight himself, just that way he can be on the football field a little more often. Like, that would be my one thing with T'Vondre Sweat, but when he was on the football field, he was like an immovable force. Sebastian Joseph Day also comes back on a 1-year contract, so they're really, really good. And remember, I will say, with these rosters, I keep it in like a base 4-3 nickel type of look. So you're going to say, well, they're a 3-4, and I totally understand that. They really are. Even though they have gotten more like physical this year, like you got Draymond, you got Olufemi Oladejo. Those are more like stronger, even Lorenzo Carter. But yeah, like they've gotten more guys who could play a little bit base 4-3 looks and stuff like that. So I think they're being a very much a well-rounded. And in general, most teams play nickel defenses in overall. So that's why I'm like, I just keep it seamless throughout all these rosters, and it's a little bit easier for me too, I'll be honest. But with this here, you got your defensive line, which looks really good. It just comes down to, those 3 guys. Who's going to be that 4th guy? Is it going to be James Lynch, Kevondre Coburn, Carlos Watkins, bringing some experience over there from Dallas? They're in a good spot overall. Cam Horsley, I liked him too from Boston College. I think he could end up making the roster, at least practice squad. Edge rusher-wise, guys to watch out for, of course, Olufemi Oladejo, if they can sign him. I know that a lot of the second-round picks are holding out. I think like 30 of them are holding out because of the whole Jaden Higgins thing, the guaranteed money, and now they're like, oh, we got to get guaranteed money too, and it's getting interesting out there. But yeah, man, let's get him signed. Let's get him in the building. Hey, it could be worse, man. You could be the Cincinnati Bengals with Shamar Stewart. But Olufemi Oladejo, I definitely think has a lot of upside there. But I do think he's like a year away type of player. I think he's like going to be a little bit of a developmental guy, but a lot of upside there. Lorenzo Carter should give them early on depth. Draymond Jones, Arden Key. Not an elite group right now, and that's why I rank them 28th. It's going to be a group that is going to be very inconsistent, I feel like, and it's going to depend on their interior of the defensive line for season matchups. So if you're going up against a weak interior offensive line, watch out for the Titans. If you're going up against a strong interior defensive line, then they may have to get creative with their blitz packages and whatnot. So we shall see. And Denard Wilson as the year number 2 for him as the defensive coordinator. We'll talk about coaching too here in just a minute. Linebacker-wise, I did rank them last in the NFL. I get it, but and it's not that they don't have talent. It's not that they don't have young guys in here that could ascend and be really good football players. Guys like James Williams, Cedric Gray, Anthony Orgies on special teams, Otis Reese, a good player as well. He may end up getting the starting role. Reese, I've heard nothing but good things about his work ethic and what he brings to the table. So you've got guys. There's no doubt about that. Like, you've got some young guys. Cody Barton is the veteran. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be that number 2 guy next to Barton consistently? That is really what I want to see, and that's why we have to be conservative with these rankings for right now. But they do have the talent. Amari Barney, too, as another guy to watch out for, especially special teams. But Orgy is going to be a special teams ace. On to the cornerback room, which I ranked 28th. They've had injuries, of course. L'Jarius Sneed there. I know Titans fans like, stay healthy, L'Jarius. And when he was healthy last year, he did struggle a bit, but a limited sample size. L'Jarius Sneed. You got Roger McCreary, very, very solid. You got Jarvis Brownlee Jr. heading into his second year there. And I think that the group is, in general, not the worst in the NFL, even though I do rank them 28th, which is bottom half. I'm not like super worried about this room, especially if they can stay somewhat healthy. You got Darrell Baker Jr., to me, who's going to be their main backup. It just comes down to some of the depth, too. So it's like, if they do have injuries, do I feel good about like a Jamari Harris or a Marcus Harris, right? They got in like the 6th round from Cal. Not really at the moment. And overall, it's going to be something where you're hoping that they can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, I do think this is going to be a mid-tier cornerback room, or even maybe a little bit better. But that would be my guess, is somewhere in the mid-tier of the secondaries in the NFL. Safety-wise, I rank them at 16th. I feel very, very good about the safety room in general and for the future as well. Like Kelvin Winston Jr. in the 3rd round, pick like 82 or whatever it was. That was a really good pick. I thought that was a really good value for them. So he can develop for a season. Amari Hooker, remember, is going into a contract year. So is Roger McCreary, too. So they got a couple of key secondary players going into contract years, so watch out for that. I imagine they will. Roger McCreary, I would suspect that they end up paying him. They could move on Amari Hooker, even though Hooker's a really good football player. But drafting Winston, to me, could be a signal of that. Woods is under contract, and he brings a good veteran presence. You got Mike Brown, who figures to be the early-on backup for this football team with his experience. The safety room in general is looking good. It's looking good for the future as well. So I'm not worried about the safety room. Going into the coaching staff, and I rank them 32nd. I don't love the coaching staff. Look, I'm not a Brian Callahan like huge fan from what I saw in his rookie or his first season as the head coach. But he has a lot to show me this year, and I think he can definitely prove me wrong, no doubt about it. Denard Wilson on the defense side of the ball, Nick Holtz, solid coordinator. Certainly don't hate any one of those guys. Just want to see more out of Brian Callahan. I feel like at times they got even though they had to get one-dimensional, and I understand that, there were just multiple occasions where I'm like, you got a really good run game. Why don't you lean on this if Will Levis is struggling so much? Why don't you revolve your game more about Will Levis's skill set? I feel like they played Brian Callahan system with Joe Burrow. And it's like, Will Levis is not Joe Burrow. They are totally different players. I just feel like the best coaches work around the players' weaknesses and their strengths a little bit more. And that, to me, it felt like he really locked into the scheme he was looking at rather than working to the skill set of some of the players and whatnot. So that's me. Hey, it is what it is. I have my own opinions, and let me know. I'm sure I'm wrong on some of this stuff, but ooh, look at the flames. I had to do a little distraction there to get off of that. But that is going to do it here for that one. Also, here's my record prediction. So I've got the Titans going 3-14 on the season. Now, this is not in order, okay? This is just the way the roster template is looking right now. So no, the Dallas Cowboys are not at the number 1 overall ranking, even though that would be very, very interesting. And hey, it could be. You never know, okay? I'm not giving anything away. You're just going to have to wait and see. I know I'm being real sneaky about this, but I will add each team on and, move them where they need to be as we go along here, building up until we get to number 1 and so forth. So, yep, that's the Tennessee Titans at number 32 overall. They have the number 1 overall selection at the moment once again. Probably not going to happen. I realize that, but these are just total projections. So bear with me. Hit me up. Completely disagree. I totally understand. Hit the dislike button as much as possible. Hey, it just motivates me even more to make more and just keep pushing, throwing content at. But no, it is what it is. I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll continue this series one every single day. So let's go.